guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Emirates with Sarah, where I speak to guests from across the UAE on subjects you want to hear about. I am here with a guest who needs no introduction, but I'll introduce her anyway because she's badass. Tara Rose, the founder and CEO of Tara Rose Beauty Salon.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a very, very kind introduction.
I'm so honored to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I mean, everybody knows how wonderful your salon is and how amazing people feel after they come out of it. So thank you so much for
thank you for inviting me on.
Of course. So tell me your background. How did you get into this industry?
I have always been a hairdresser. So since I left school, high school level, barely left school, barely finished, and fell into hairdressing. I started from the bottom. I was an apprentice and worked my way up in the UK, went to many different salons, sort of struggled with trying to fit in. This is where the story starts to begin. But then my sister moved to the UAE. I came out here on holiday and I was like, wow, get me out there.
There you go.
So within 6 months I was out and working in a couple of different salons in Dubai. Met my husband, he's from Scotland, and we moved to Abu Dhabi. And when I moved to Abu Dhabi, I really started to struggle with somewhere that I wanted to work, finding the right environment to work in. So then was the first time we decided, wouldn't it be amazing if we could open somewhere? So that's what happened 7 years ago. I opened my first salon. I knew how to cut hair, which is a good start.
Yeah, it's a good starting point.
But I had no idea about business.
Right.
No idea about business. And, quickly from that point on, obviously we've grown very, very quickly. I opened my third salon a year ago.
Wow.
We are getting into the education business, so we're just about to launch an academy for training and everything.
What?
And then literally yesterday, I've just signed for my fourth salon, which is going to open in Dubai.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
That's impressive. I have so many questions. So my first question is, what kind of inspired you specifically for hair? Like, what drew you to that?
I think for me, I was never academic. And this is a lot of which, I'll touch on later about struggles and everything. But because I was never very academic, when it came to hair and it came to the people I was surrounded by, I was creative. I fitted in, I was with people that were similar to me. So I felt like, part of something. And then I worked out that you can work really, really hard and be successful at something, It may not have anything to do with education or being academic. So that was where I fell in love with it, was the passion to feel part of something, to be able to create and to make people feel good.
Well, you actually making my life so much easier now, because that leads me to the next question. So what would you say has been your biggest obstacle in this process, and how did you overcome it?
So, there's been many obstacles along the way, but, in the last sort of couple of years, I've really started to sort of push it back. Where have these come from? And for me, really, it came from school. My obstacles were school because I didn't fit in.
Right.
I wasn't academic. So unfortunately, with the British curriculum, if you can't spell, and you can't read, and you can't memorize, and you can't, if you can't put pen to paper and you can't memorize, you're struck off.
Right.
You're classed as thick. So I think that's when it really, really became apparent that, your struggles start to set in. Very, very quickly. I just wanted to fit in somewhere,
Right.
Didn't really ever have my own voice, followed the crowd, because it's just that you want to fit in, as a kid, So that was sort of where it has all come from. And I think since then, and now I've put it down to this, you go through life people pleasing,
100%.
You go through life people pleasing of just wanting to be able to fit in, you're
Right.
not taught at school, or not many people teach you that you can be anything you want in life, and that you can achieve your dreams and goals, and you don't have to be academic to be successful. But unfortunately, I didn't start to learn that until I opened the first salon.
No, I totally hear you. I think that you raise a very good point, how there's a stigma of if you did not do well in school, you're not going to do well in life. And I personally, apart from maybe like English and history, I was terrible. Like science, math, I pretty much failed it all. So I definitely wasn't meant to be anything that was going to be like, doctor, engineer, lawyer, the typical Arab industries.
Yeah.
So I totally hear where you're coming from. So understandably, opening, now your fourth salon coming up in this academy, which I want to ask you about later. What would you say has been like a funny or crazy scenario that you've witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the salon, I mean, we see crazy, funny stuff every day in the salons, you know?
Tell me.
Yeah. I mean, the culture we've created is something very, very special, which is another thing we can go back to about the academy and everything. But, what I'm so proud of is, like, every day is that everybody here, we have the same culture. Everybody wants to be more. But we all understand that not to take things too seriously. You have to have fun in the process. So you can imagine with 65 women under all these different roofs, we are one team that every day is a fun and a laugh. You can see from the girls' Instagrams, and we just really, really take part in having good fun. So that's, how we sort of live our lives.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, also like a funny story about for me, and I've just started to think about this again because now I've done it again. Every time I've opened a salon, I've burst into tears and thought, why have I done this? And I said last time, that is it. I'm not doing it again. I'm done. It's over. And like literally a year and a couple of months later, and I've just signed for a fourth one. So I thought of that yesterday when I signed. I was like, it's going to happen again. I'm going to burst into tears.
That's amazing. It's like, you would think it's like, oh, happy tears, like, new accomplishment. It's like, shit, I have to do this shit all over.
I know. And I think it's not always at the beginning. It's like, as the process, you get so stuck into the opening that then all of a sudden you're stood there and you're about to open the doors and you're like, wow.
I've done this.
It just got real.
It just got real. She just got real.
Time to cry.
I feel that. So tell me more about this academy that you're doing.
So for me, and I think this is why we have grown so quickly and become so successful, is we build people. Not only do we build our clients, the clients, it's about not just great hair, it's about building them as women, making them come in, not just look amazing, but feel amazing. So that's one obviously big aspect. But the other aspect is I want to be able to grow people.
Right.
I want to be able to give them something that I never had. Through the journey that I've been through and still on and will continue to go on is, that we can achieve anything we want in life.
Right.
And I also want to remove this stigma again of like just being a hairdresser, because it's like, well, you obviously didn't do very well at school because you're a hairdresser, and I think we tend to do that as creative people,
Right.
So I want to be able to create a safe space for people to work, but not only that, I want to be able to give them career progression. So to be able to show them and push them into different directions of the company. So not only just management,
right.
we're growing our academy, so they can work towards education. And now we've just launched our art team as well for the more creative people. Wow. So that was yesterday, we launched our art team. Wow! But the fundamentals to this academy and this education program is all-round education. Because again, one of the biggest things for me when I opened the salon was cutting hair is not enough.
You would think it was.
You would think it would be. But in terms to be able to be the best version of yourself, education comes from all round. So it's not just the practical skills. It is obviously the business, the marketing, but most importantly, it's the mindset. It's the passion. It's how we grow our minds and the belief in ourselves. So the academy that we're launching will be an all-round sort of 360 of that type of aspect. So from practical to business to mindset and how we motivate people to be more.
As a podcast host, it's not often that I'm at a loss for words, but I'm at a loss for words. Well done. That's freaking phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It's amazing. It's the fact that one of the reasons that I started this podcast was to help raise awareness for important issues and make a positive impact on my community, and that's exactly what you're doing. I honestly...
Oh, thank you.
For the third time in this episode, I applaud you. So, Speaking of helping build people,
Yeah.
what would you say is a piece of advice you have for like female young entrepreneurs who are trying to get started?
So the biggest ones for me, and this is where I started. So if it's scary, see it as a to-do list, because on the other side of fear is massive growth. The second one is hold yourself accountable daily. Take
100%.
small steps daily to achieving the bigger goal. And finally, the third one is have fun along the way. Like, laugh, enjoy. Don't take your life yourself too seriously. And I think those three, and there's a lot more, but they were the biggest ones for me. And this is why now I've started to find my voice, because I'm not afraid of taking myself too seriously.
Yeah.
Or thinking about what people think of me, because that's the other thing that stops you from growing is is what will these people think. So yeah, have fun, enjoy it, and yeah, take the pressure off.
I love that. I think the fear element especially is so important because people are scared. What if I
Yeah.
don't succeed? What if this doesn't lead to anything? Well, the
Definitely.
experience itself helps you grow as a human.
Yeah.
So I would love to say thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
being on the
Sara.
show. Of course, I had a wonderful time and I definitely learned a lot.
Thank
and
you.
It's really interesting to see the kind of the behind the scenes of like what someone who like started a business like a salon went
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to learn more about the academy, so I'll be
Yes.
following you closely.
Yeah.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.